We're going to start class Mesillat Yesharim. We're in the middle of the 4th chapter, the ways to acquire Zehirut. Today we're going to be talking about the 3rd level of contemplation a person needs to have to be able to acquire this level of vigilance. It says the motivation for everyone. What's the motivation for everyone? It's the reward and punishment for someone's deeds. It says when a person realizes how much reward he can get for just doing one mitzvah, or how much punishment comes from just doing one sin, it won't even be a further contemplation. So he says like this: this is how far in depth, how far it actually the judgment goes to when a person does something wrong. A person, if he knew how bad the punishment was for each and every sin, we would be trembling, he says. We would be shaking and trembling. He says, who can stand on the day of judgment? Who will say, you know what, I did everything good, I was good. You're standing in front of Hashem. No, I was good, I didn't do anything wrong. Who can be able to say that? It says, whose inspection is so meticulous regarding every little matter, every single thing. Chachamim said in the Gemara, tell a person what was his conversation. What does this pasuk mean? He says, even the discussions, the small little flirting or discussions the person has with his wife, or with a woman for that matter, I think they repeat those words back to him at the time of judgment. Meaning, every single word you speak of, every single word you say, every action you have, it's all written down.
What about text?
Huh? Also text. You can hurt people and you can do things on text as well. Every single thing is written. Every time you post something, every time you send a message, every time you speak, all of that is written down. Good and bad is written. I mean, the good is good for you, the bad is not so good for you.
What about like neutral?
Also, it's also written. I mean, it's put in the neutral category, but everything, everything's written in the book. You have to pay attention to everything you say. He says, Od Amru, like Gemara says, Usevivav nis'ara ne'od. It says, Tehillim, right? David HaMelech says, someone's surroundings are extremely turbulent. What does this mean? This is teaching us that Hashem is very careful how He judges His pious people. Meaning the righteous people. Hashem is very careful how He judges them. He judges them very, like they do one little thing wrong, they get crazy amount of punishment. The more righteous you become, the more careful you have to be with your actions, right? If a person is not as righteous, his level of chilul Hashem, let's say, is not as much there as someone who is righteous. Because someone who's righteous, you look at him, he's a kippah, he's religious, he's walking around, and now all of a sudden, he starts doing things like out of the ordinary. Everyone looks at him like, hey, what are you doing? You're representing God, and now you're putting Him down. So he says you have to be very careful with your actions. He brings examples now. Avraham. Who Avraham ahuv lekono? He says our forefather Avraham was the same Avraham who was beloved to his Creator. Ad shakatu amar alav, like the pasuk says, Avraham ohavi. Avraham who loved me, or necessarily who was my loved one. Lo palat min adin mipnei devarim kalim shelo dikdek bahem. He did not escape the divine judgment. He didn't escape the deen for the little tiny things that he wasn't careful in. All the little tiny things, even Avraham Avinu wasn't careful in, he was taken care of for that. Al Shamar Bama Eda, right? When Hashem said, He promised Avraham the Holy Land, He promised Avraham the land of Israel, and He said, whereby shall I know that I will inherit it? Right? Avraham Avinu said, how do I know I'm going to inherit this land? Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so Hashem said back to him, Chayecha yadoa teda ki ger yazaracha. It says, by your life, He says, you will know that your children will be strangers, right? And that was the pasuk that told us we're going to be slaves in the land of Egypt, and went on so on and so forth. So you see, even from the little tiny words a person can ask, how will I know that I'm going to inherit? He said they went into slavery. They went into Egypt. All the more so with all of us, we have to be very careful how we speak, how we act. You know, many people think, I work. I go to work. The Torah is not an obligation over there. Meaning, I don't need to keep the Torah over there. There's many mitzvot in the Torah that pertain to work. There's many different laws that pertain to your day in, day out actions. I was discussing last night with my dad. It's very important a person, if he's on, let's say, he's getting paid hourly, for example. Now a person says, I want to take like a 15-minute break. I want to go do something else at a different business while I'm at work. I want to check out the news. I want to, all these different types of things. Who says these things are allowed? Who says it's allowed? Someone's paying you for your time, and now you're taking that time that you're getting paid with and you're doing it for something else. Again, some people have rules that they allow you have up to half an hour, lunch break, different types of things. But either way, you have to figure out these things. Don't think it's just so simple that I can do whatever I want at work. I can spend, or let's say, for example, some people have 1 or 2 5-minute bathroom breaks throughout the day. What do? They go and take advantage. They go to the bathroom for 15 minutes. They sit there, relax. Who says it's allowed? And not only that, it's stealing. You're taking someone's money against their will. Something you have to be very careful with. Then he says, also because Abraham, he went into a treaty, covenant with Avimelech without Hashem's command. Amar la HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said to him, Chayecha shani mashhe b'simchat banecha shiva dorot. Says, Hashem sort of says, I swore to you that I'm going to delay the happiness of your children from entering into the land of Israel for 7 generations because of this. Meaning Abraham did one little thing wrong and he got punished for this for on and on. You see how careful we have to be with our actions. A few more minutes. He says Yaakov now. He brings an example with Yaakov. Yaakov al shechara apo berachel she'amra lo havali banim. He got angry at Rachel and he said to her, bring me children. Give me children. Why can't you bring children into the world? He got angry with it. So Amruba Midrash Zeloshano, the Midrash says, Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said to Yaakov, Kach onim et ha-me'ukot. Is this how one answers the crushed people? She's crushed. She can't have children. This is how you speak to her? This is how you speak to someone? Chayecha shebanecha omdim lifnei bena. It says, basically I swear to you that your children will stand in front of her children. Meaning what? All of Yaakov's children came and they had to bow down to Yosef at the end. Yosef was the king. Why? It's because of this. It's because of this. Yaakov Avinu said one word and all of his children decreed. Of course, Yosef is also his children, but from Rachel. So they all came and had to bow down to Rachel. Also, because Yaakov placed his daughter Dinah, we know the story, he placed Dinah into the box to hide her from Esav. Even though Yaakov's intention over there, Esav was a wicked person. He wanted to hide his daughter Dinah from Esav. So he put her in the box. It says, even so, since he hid kindness from his own brother, the Midrash says, you are one who withholds chesed from his friend. That's what you're considered, it says in Eov. You're considered someone who is doing something correct. Imagine you have a wicked friend, someone who's a very bad friend, and they want to marry your sister. You're going to hide your sister from them. Right? It's the right thing to do. Hashem punishes you on that. Why is he punishing you on that? You did nothing wrong. No, because you're taking away kindness from your own brother, even though it was really the right thing to do. Maybe there was another way to go about it. Maybe you could have done it nicer. Maybe you could have talked it through. Who knows what the idea is? But he still got punished for it. Why? Tzaddikim are punished kechut hasara, like a little strand of hair. The tiny little mistakes people make, you can be punished for. We have to be very careful and meticulous with our actions. He said, Lo bikasha l'asiyad mahul. You didn't want to marry off Dinah to someone who was circumcised, Esav, your own brother. Harehi niset le'arel. So she's gonna be married to someone who's not circumcised, right? He says with Shechem, right? What happened? They went into the city, and then Shechem found favor in eyes, came and raped her. He raped Yaakov Avinu's daughter. One of the biggest, most disgraceful moments in probably Jewish history. Very much up there. You understand how difficult it is for a person. They can make one little tiny mistake. The higher your level of righteousness, and he's going to bring many examples. The higher level of righteousness, the more Hashem judges you. And that's going to tell you, you're thinking now, oh, so what, I shouldn't be righteous? The less righteous I am, Hashem judges me less. No. Hashem judges even the people who aren't righteous. You're all very big tzaddikim. I'm teaching you guys these things so that you keep in mind. Hashem judges kefut asara, like a little tiny strand of hair. I'll finish off with this. He says also, you didn't want to marry her to Esav in a permissive way. It says Harehi Nised Derech Isur. So she became married in a forbidden manner. She became raped to that extent. You see how disgraceful it could be when someone makes a tiny little mistake. He does one little sin, says one little word he shouldn't have said. We should be very, very careful with our words, how we speak, how we interact with people.